Hey guys, it's Zoe. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite fairy tale retellings, which is the follow-up to my favorite non-fairy tale retellings video. First order of business though, the language from the last video was Dutch. I think most of you guys got that one right. Everybody said I did pretty good. Some people were saying that I pronounced it like a German, which makes sense because I speak German and I have a degree in the language and culture, so that would really affect the pronunciation of a language that's quite similar. The language for today is one that, again, I've never heard spoken. I've never spoken it. It's close to some other languages, so it's really throwing me off. But this one is Hola, avui és dimarts. I'm 99% sure I said that one wrong, so we're just gonna move on. The first book that I have on this list is one of my absolute favorite. This one is a Beauty and the Beast, a Hades and Persephone, a Tam Lin, and a bunch of other retellings all combined into one. This one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Feyre, a human, ends up killing a wolf who's not really a wolf, he's actually Fae. Because she took a life must be repaid, so she gets taken to the fairy kingdom of Prythian to live out her life sentence because she did such a horrible thing. Because this is in part a Beauty and the Beast retelling, you know that she ends up falling in love with her captor, who's kind of a beast himself, and the story goes on from there. The next book is also a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This one is much more firmly only in the Beauty and the Beast camp. This one is Hunted by Megan Spooner. Eva's been raised to be an aristocrat, but she's always remembered her time living in her father's lodge in the woods when she was younger. So when her father ends up losing his fortune, she's secretly relieved that she gets to go back and live in the woods and be one with nature and not have to deal with all the idiots in the aristocracy. The downside though is that losing his fortune may have cost her father his mind. He's been obsessively tracking this animal and then he goes missing in the woods, and it's up to Eva to go and find out where this beast is and really what this beast is and why her father was tracking him. I remember when I started reading this book, I didn't have high hopes. I had heard good things, but it was just okay at the beginning. But by the end, I don't know when it happened, but at some point I fell in love with this book. This is one of my favorite books, retelling or otherwise. This next book continues the trend of fairy tale retellings. No, of course it does. What the of the Beauty and the Beast retellings, and this one is Lost in a Book by Jennifer Donnelly. This book came out I think just before the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson, and this was exactly what I needed at the time. When I got this book, I had been wanting to read an actual Beauty and the Beast story, not a retelling. I wanted Belle, I wanted the Beast, I wanted Lumiere, I wanted Mrs. Potts and Chip, and this is it. This one isn't so much of a retelling as a deleted scene from the live-action remake. This story picks up when Belle has already been a captive at the castle for a while, she's already been introduced to the library, and she's already become friends with the castle's inhabitants, just not really the Beast yet. She's wandering the library and she stumbles across an enchanted book called Nevermore that quite literally pulls her into the book. One can see how that would go wrong, but the enchanted world in this book isn't quite as it seems though, and Belle needs to figure out whether or not she can trust the people in this book, and if the people in this book are even real. The next two books are Wizard of Oz retellings, which is kind of considered an American fairy tale, so I'm putting it in and we're gonna leave it at that. The first one is Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. Amy was living a pretty normal but pretty crappy life in Kansas when a tornado comes along, sweeps her away, and brings her to Oz. Sound familiar? But what Amy discovers is not the Oz that she thought she knew. It's definitely taken a turn for the worse. The good witches are evil and the wicked witches are not good, but they're better than the good witches, and Dorothy is a tyrant. She is an absolute dictator and she's not the sweet little farm girl that everybody knows. Amy's been recruited by the Revolutionary Order of the Wicked, and she's been given 4 major tasks. She needs to remove the Tin Woodman's heart, steal the Scarecrow's brain, and take the Lion's courage, and when that's all done, Dorothy must die. There are 4 books, but it really could have been a duology. As I mentioned, the next book is also a Wizard of Oz retelling, and this one is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This one is a bind-up of Wicked and Son of a Witch, but we're just gonna talk about the first one. This one, like Lost in a Book, isn't so much of a retelling as a deleted scene. This is the story of Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West. It basically follows her entire life and the things that we didn't get to know or get to learn learn about in the original stories. This book is the one that really started my love for the sort of retelling subgenre of telling the villain story. I love villains, like how complex they are and really finding out why they are the way they are. That's definitely the psych major in me coming out, but that's the way it goes, and I really enjoy how this gives an in-depth look into the Wicked Witch of the West and why she turned out the way she did. This next book is a retelling of the Bluebeard fairy tale, which is one I actually hadn't heard about until I read this book. And this one is Strands of Bronze and Gold by Jane Nickerson. Sophia's father dies and she gets an invitation from her mysterious godfather to go live with him. She's never had an easy, comfortable life, and it's something she's always wanted, and she gets it when she goes and lives with her godfather. She's attracted to and kind of shocked by his charm and his manners and how much of a proper gentleman he is. That sun really just came out. Hey, okay. What are you doing? Anyways, something just kind of feels off to her though. And as time goes on, she begins to piece together the mystery of his life and his former wives, who have all had the exact same red hair as Sophia. You creeped out yet? Good. The last retelling I have is a Cinderella retelling, and it's one of my favorite contemporary modern day retellings, and this one is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. After her mother's death when she was a young girl, Ellie's father married her stepmother, and then he died too. Classic Cinderella story. Her stepmother is awful, her stepsisters are awful, and she just wants to get away. Her ticket out is to win the cosplay contest at Excelsicon. It's also a fangirl's dream come true because the first place prize is an invitation to the Excelsicon cosplay ball and a meet and greet with the actor who's playing her favorite character in her favorite series reboot movie. Her not quite knight in shining armor, her geek in shining armor, isn't as thrilled about the con this year, mostly because the Starfield fandom thinks that he is not the right choice to play this main character. They think he's pretty much a fake fan and in it for the money, but what they don't know is that he is a true fan at heart, and this role is a dream come true. All of that negativity is really starting to get to him until he meets his very own Geekerella, who shows him otherwise. So those were some of my favorite fairy tale retellings. Picking out the books for this video, I realized that I have more favorite non-fairy tale retellings than favorite fairy tale retellings. I have about the same amount of each, but I like the non-fairy tale ones better. Interesting. I didn't know that about myself until this video. I think that's all I really had to say about that for today. To stay updated with my current reads and how I'm feeling about them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at You're a Book Nerd Zoe, and I will link all of those down below for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. It's about half hour after I finished filming, and I totally forgot to mention this, but I wanted to get it in there so you guys could know what's going on. I did participate in the readathon on March 3rd. I'm gonna be honest here, I hated the footage that I took, so I'm just gonna do another readathon. It's Tuesday right now, so 2 days from now I'm planning on doing this readathon. This is going up tomorrow, so when you guys see it, it'll be the next day. I hope you all have a wonderful day and get at least a little bit of uninterrupted reading time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!